we should all think about. Can I make this one of my manual speeches? Or master or grammarian or whatever, is that something I can use for leadership? So keep these in mind. Thank you.
Perfect, and I agree. I think we forget to bring those in or stick them up in the desk corner like I've done, but they are really valuable tools. The second person I'd like to introduce is Brett, who is going to be our timer today. He's already given one modicum of wisdom, but please explain your role and what you'll be doing.
As your timer today, it is my duty to keep you guys all on track and keep the meeting on track, giving you some indication of if you're on time in the accepted window or way over. And if you're way over, you'll see the red, and I'll throw it and do this, and this means wind it up really quick. For table topics, we shoot for between a minute and 2 minutes. 1:30 is kind of the sweet spot. Speeches are generally between 5 to 7, unless the presenter has talked to the Toastmaster before and asked for a little bit more time. 1 minute Toastmaster, as it suggests, is 1 minute. And at the end of the meeting, I'll be giving you guys all a report on how you did. Thank you.
And then the one role that we are missing, so accepting volunteers right now, court jester. If anyone has some piece of brilliance they'd like to share to make us laugh. Obviously, Mohammed, you have one.
I was the court jester.
Oh, sorry. I mean, of course you are.
Sorry, well,
It's just a joke.
That's the joke.
Thanks, Vince. And so, how many programmers does it take to change the light bulb?
How many?
None. It's a hardware problem. An SEO couple had twins. For the first time, they were happy with duplicate content. All right, and a cheesy one. Why do Java developers need glasses? Because they can't see sharp. Right, and last but not least, we'll have one more. Why was a JavaScript developer sad? Why? Because he didn't know how to express himself.
Well done. I'm sorry, you were very prepared. I should have prepared better myself. So my favorite part of the meeting is table topics, and with this, Jonathan, you are going to start us off, and I'm sure share some fun topics that we can all embarrass ourselves a little bit more in a good way. Would everyone please welcome Jonathan? We'll be doing table topics.
All right. So my first time as Table Topics Master, please bear with me. So trying to think of topics for today, I ended up thinking of what is it that I kind of enjoy. And I think one of the things that I tend to be very passionate about is food. I love to go to different places, try out new foods, and then when I find good places, bring my friends to them. So then I'll have more people to go there with in future times. So I'd like to call on people one by one, and I'd like to hear a little bit about what is a favorite food that you have. Maybe it was something you grew up with, maybe it's something you discovered more recently. Anything, for whatever reasons, if it's the presentation, if it's the taste, if it's some kind of memory that you have associated with that food, tell me what it is about that food that you like so much. To call on first, go with people who I don't believe have any kind of roles. Jesse.
I actually do have a role.
You do have a role. Speaker. Oh, you do have a role. Okay. Well, I'm so.
But one thing we like to do is we like to say, when speakers, Toastmaster, Janet, or raise their hand, and then they all raise their hand, and then you say, "Oh, quick! That's how I'm not calling them."
And then you go to other people. Okay. Then I will do that. Speakers, evaluators, and anyone with rules, or just
Major role.
Major role.
Toastmaster, Janet, or speakers.
Okay. So.
Jesse, Leah, and
Okay. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop Master and Public Toastmasters. Could I petition the chair to summarize the question for me one more time, please?
Yes. What is a favorite food of yours and why?
An excellent question, sir. I am a big fan of beef in all its forms and fashions. And I do know that in certain places in the world, this will pose a challenge, but here in this area, I find that a good slice of prime rib does me well in almost any form. And one of the reasons for this is the subtle nature of good prime rib. Well roasted on a fire grill with excellent seasoning, a subtle flavor, not too much, because it offers you an aroma.
It's like, what's it like? An aroma like?
Like a fall breeze that will impress upon you the nourishment of a growing and healthy life. This is why I enjoy good prime rib.
Point of order, Mr. Tabletop Master, I believe you don't exactly have a grammarian. I'd like to have a grammarian to make sure that we are dinging for the bell and no offense. And also watching out for the word pictures of the day that might have just been so just a second ago. So do we have a person who may not have what do you mean?
I'm secretary.
That's not good enough. Huh?
Secretary.
Don't need it.
It's hard.
Half like this.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah. We already got our word of the day.
And I was looking for an option and I totally missed up. All kinds of words there.
So thank you, Chris, for
Thank you.
your wonderful description of prime rib. I like to think of sometimes when you go to certain places, they will sometimes shape the meat into little cordate pieces. But yes, nothing beats a nice cut of prime rib, I'd say. Who else? Was it Maria? Did I get that name right? Oh, I'm sorry, what is your
I
name?
think Marie.
Marie?
I did her pass. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Tony. What is a favorite dish of yours and why?
What is a favorite dish of mine and why? That would be a very difficult question for me to answer. I suppose I could say that I like seafood because I've been on a seafood diet all of my life. I see food and I eat it. People, and actually I'm trying to avoid eating too much these days so that there can be less of me. But that's been a lifelong challenge is how do I see that food and not eat it, except a little bit. Now, as to specific types of food, well, I do like most types of seafood. I do like most types of meat. I probably have a weakness with dairy. And don't get me started on most of those crunchy things that come out of eggs. Those tend to drive me crazy, especially the cordate-shaped ones. Food is like an addiction to me. It just drives me crazy. It's like a congenital defect that I have that I can't avoid it. When I've stopped eating, it tends to make me get weak and faint.
Thank you, Tony. I would say that yes, for me personally, I love food, so when I ever see food, especially free food, usually the one in front of the line. I'm sure many of you have seen me snacking on the bars in the back, come this morning or other mornings. Mohammed, what is a favorite food or dish of yours, and tell us why?
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop Master, fellow TechMasters, and guests. I, like Tony, love food, but not really. I'm not a really picky eater. I don't mind the cordate-shaped foods, but those are usually, candies and cupcakes and cakes. And when I think of cakes, I think of Cafe Latte in St. Paul because they have one of the greatest, dessert selections out there, and students work really well hand in hand. But like I said, I'm not really a picky eater. The thing that I really come back to on almost a weekly basis is eggs. You know, I like eggs. Most people like eggs, unless you're allergic to eggs. But hey, you like eggs. You know, whether they're sunny side up, actually not sunny side up, over easy, fried, scrambled, fried with onions, tomatoes, and chili peppers, or fried with onions, tomatoes, chili peppers, and ground beef, and all kinds of different variations of eggs. I can deal with that. But I tell my wife one thing, that I only expect twice a year I want something that I really crave, and which is a dish called biryani, which if you had it correctly, had it made right, then you don't ever want anything else. I'll take that over steak, nahari, paya, whatever. There's tons of stuff out there, but biryani is something that I come back to. It's rice, meat, potatoes, onions, tomatoes, and if you get it, if my mom does it, then you'll find raisins in there too, which I'm like, I don't get this, but anyways, so it's a great dish. I love it. I crave it twice a year, really crave it. But if I have that twice a year, you can feed me the sludge from Matrix and I'll be fine. Thank you, Mr. Dibble.
Now you made me hungry for biryani.
Yeah.
I will go to India Palace sometimes, which is a close location to where I live. I'm curious to know if there are any places that you find acceptable around here that we'll just have to exchange notes afterwards. How are we doing on time? Do we have time for?
We got one.
Go with William. Tell us a favorite dish of yours and tell us.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Favorite dish of mine was something that I discovered probably a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I've never heard of it anywhere else, but there's a restaurant on Highway 55 called Ketsana's Thai, and she makes a dish called mee katri. It's very similar to Thai curries, which I've avoided for many, many years of my life because I thought curry meant curry powder, and I hate curry powder. But curry actually means coconut milk and all these very delicate spices. So mee katri has a couple of things in it that I've reverse engineered over the years. One of them is called galanga root. I don't know if anybody's ever tried galanga root, but it looks a lot like ginger and it tastes a little bit citrusy, kind of orangey. Another thing that they put in this dish is called kaffir leaf, which has a fancy name but really tastes like lime juice. And then of course there's coconut milk. And I don't know too many people who don't like coconut milk. But you mix all these things together with chili paste and it forms the most delicious dish that I've ever had. My wife and I frequent this place probably too often. So I recommend mee katri at Ketsana's Thai on Highway 55. Thank you.
I'd say I'm a big fan of curry. I usually have to explain to my friends that curry is kind of a Western word for a lot of different things. It could be Thai curries, which are the coconut ones. It could be Indian curries that are more gravies, all those other kinds, Chinese curries, which are a different style of dish. One of my favorites involving coconut milk would be the the sticky rice with coconut milk and mangoes. Oh, it is so delicious. I've made it a number of times before. I've had friends request that I bring the ingredients over and just make it for them. It's delicious. I think, do we have time for one more? Or shall we keep going on? Brett?
We have time. Okay. Yeah, time for Brett.
We have time for Brett. Brett, you are our last table topics speaker. What is a favorite dish of yours? And tell us why.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. So unfortunately, Mohammed stole my thunder. I was going to list some of the foods that he had mentioned. I guess I'll start with my first favorite food growing up. My mom's family is originally from Sicily, and she makes this pizza that really, if you probably had it, you think is pretty awful. It's really thick, kind of not really well cooked crust with big chunks of hamburger. But since my mom made it, I grew up, I loved it. And I still, when we go over there, I ask her if she'll make it. Thankfully, my wife is a wonderful cook and has kind of perfected it. So we sometimes invite them over now to have her version of my mom's pizza, which we pretend not to like as much, but we all like it. So that was my original favorite food. Since then, especially after meeting my wife, my tastes have changed a bit. And Mohammed mentioned biryani, which is one of my favorite dishes. However, I find if you get it made more traditionally, especially with goat meat or mutton, it's pretty difficult to eat because all the meat like is kind of chunks of bone in there because it's different cuts, and so if you get it right, it's difficult to eat. So that's one of my favorites, but my actual favorite is one that you listed the second, which I could not believe, which is nihari.
Really?
Nihari is traditionally a Muslim dish. It's very, very lean cuts of meat, generally mutton, and it's cooked for like 24 hours, and you eat it and it just melts like butter in your mouth. It's in this wonderful sauce. However, I only get that about once a year because it's pretty painstakingly time-consuming to make. But it is one of my favorite dishes, and I'm not sure if there's any places that actually make nihari here, and if they do, it's probably not real great. You kind of gotta know someone who has a family recipe or something to have it, and it's absolutely wonderful. You can have nothing else but that, and it's amazing. And it doesn't come in cordate shapes. It's usually kind of square more. But it is my absolute favorite dish of all the food that I've eaten. But unfortunately, I only get it maybe once a year. So, turn it back over to you, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, Rick. I'm curious to know when the annual making of that dish will be. We'll all be there, right?
Yeah.
So looking forward to that invite. My time, I believe, is up. So I'm going to hand it back to Adam Hill for today. Yeah. Adam, Toastmasters.
Thank you. Great, so now we are going to take the 5-minute break for our meeting. Will the speakers please come up, genuine evaluator and evaluators, so we can divvy up who gets to evaluate.
Give me a number.
Seven to that.
It's 8:15, we'll be back at 8:00.
So it's just Justin and
Are you speaking?
Yep.
Okay.
Probably not.
So we'll need to know who's the evaluators.
I was evaluating, so I'll evaluate you.
Okay. And I need a second evaluator. Tony, oh, you got it, okay.
I was going to evaluate.
Brett, would you be willing to evaluate?
I absolutely will be willing to evaluate.
I'm the showrunner. Showrunner. So, do you have a preference of speaking order?
I do.
You want to do it first? Okay, so Jesse's first and second. And we'll do the evaluation. We'll have Brett evaluate Jesse and William Vince. So, is this how long, Vince?
Anything.
Vince, it's gonna be 29. Book?
Alright. Do I need to be harsh in your speech or can I just generally feel Oh, alright. Otherwise, I could bring up someone in front.
I do have some.
So,
Take over the director.
all right. Good job. I wanted to figure out what.
Gets better every time.
How's stuff going? Keep busy?
Talk about why we're doing it.
My parents were in town this weekend, so doing a lot
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's always interesting. We did an engagement party, so it was like a big smell and lunch families.
Right.
Kind of, you know, what's that? What's that? Oh, there, now we can relax a little bit.
All the craziness just kind of comes together.
Yeah. And everyone's best behavior.
It's always kind of fun.
Dates, everyone.
My older brother and my wife just hate each other.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where we get together, you know, and we have to, whatever. And over the years, it's like they kind of come to a truce. It's like I went out to Chicago again. You know, I just hate my wife. Tell me that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, and she says, no, I just can't stand it.
Really? Why?
I don't know. They got this the time, you know, it's, whatever. They just seem like very differently. Yeah, my wife is kind of quiet and kind of, you know, real considerate. And my brother loves to tease, and she hates being teased.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's all good. But yeah, family get-togethers are fun.
Hey, Vince.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
to remember.
The new member fee is 45.
We're going, she's going, doing a speech craft, right? She's going 25.
Yeah, she's doing
Oh, so you're gonna go ahead with the dues right away?
Yeah,
All right, cool.
so it's 45.
We're going with 25. Join the speed track, or waiting.
Um,
Come on, man. Come on, Shaker.
I think we-
I'm gonna guess you don't have to use track.
Um,
For everyone, when I put it in.
It's pretty.
oh, wise out. That's what you
And that was just
Alright,
for
so-
what I felt.
I regret that, Matt.
Where are we meeting tomorrow? We're meeting right up there.
No, it's broke around here. It's right.
So just meet up
So
there.
you'll be called about it.
At what time?
Like, who's the general?
I think it's like 7:30 to 8:30.
Yeah, we want to be there. Well, I had. But I would like to be there early in the year. Like, say, for whatever works for you.
Okay.
And I'll bring all the stuff. Like when I'm.
I'm currently making the, I was very concerned that
I
I
don't
would
remember.
be. It's okay, relax.
Well, to.
I'm sorry.
All right, hold on.
I'm wearing braces for starters. In order to take these out. Otherwise, time before.
Do you have the-
Invisalign, yeah, so there's my speech. I was.
4 minutes
That's
and
all right,
30
that's
seconds.
all right.
I'll jump in next time.
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
So between the two, well, yeah, I guess. What after she.
No, he was doing the
After
first day
you-
of buying
you're
the That's what I thought I heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talking about,
So then we're going down to 6, 7, whatever it takes.
Project have $6 million funding these days.
So
Here,
$6
$6
million,
million.
I thought that was a lot. Yeah, so I went to the fence up and got something else. She was in the hospital. She went in on Christmas Eve day, and like at 8 p.m., they took it out by 10 o'clock. She stayed until almost noon the next day, $27,000.
Oh,
Less than 24 hours.
Tell me it's your holiday charges, right?
And it's like, what did you do? Until noon when they figured her out.
dear Chatty Cathy in the green shirt, we're calling to order. So now we are approaching our speaking portion of the meeting. So I would like to welcome Jesse, who used to be a former member and is now returning to practice some of his wisdom. I welcome to hear what you have to say, and I look forward to having you join our club. Please welcome Jesse.
So we're going to be talking about the business of technology. And this is a favorite topic of mine, as I'm sure Brett or others may tell you. All right, so first I'm going to start off with my personal journey using business. See, never use animations because then that happens. So anyways, I'm going to be talking about how I've used business in my technology career, basically. I'm going to move on to reasons why I use business in technology, and possibly you might as well. And then I'm going to go through a few high-level steps on how to create a business, and that won't probably work very well without any kind of slides. So, we good? All right. Let's start at the beginning, however. I see what's happening here. Sorry, guys. All right. So, great start. 1999, I started working at Best Buy, and I worked there for about 4 or 5 years, something like that. And Accenture came in and they took over. I got to talking with a few of the Accenture employees and found out that we're getting billed out at 4 to 5 times more than what we're getting paid. And I thought, man, this is crazy. So, I'm doing the same work. I'm the same person working at the same company. What's really the big difference here? And, to me, I thought, well, I'm a contractor, so contractors versus employees, that's really the biggest difference here. So I set up my career as a contractor and started working for TechPro. And while working for TechPro, I did get paid a little bit more, but that really wasn't the holy grail, I don't think, of thing. While working for TechMasters, I went off to Allianz. And at Allianz, I met Dave Osborne, somewhat known as Super Dave. And anyways, he introduced me to independent contracting and how it's good. All right, perfect, great. And some of the reasons were freedom and control, protection, and write-offs. And I think really to explain those in more detail or better detail, we can use two fictitious characters to explain the differences here. So we have Brett, the business owner, and Bill, the employee / contractor. So things like time off, right? As a business owner or as an independent contractor, so to speak, you get to choose your own time. You won't get paid for it, and even the length of time, is more your choice. If you want to take a little bit longer stint between contracts, you can take a little bit more time. Whereas an employee, you're pretty much dictated by the employer. So 1 to 5 weeks, something like that. But then it also even kind of comes down to, this is our busy time, or you should take it during Christmas, or something like that kind of thing. Choice of insurance, same kind of a thing. You got a huge choice of insurances, even down to the HSA, flex plan, stuff like that. But of course, you have life, medical, dental. Whereas with an employer, they basically say, we are going to do Blue Cross, and this is what you get. So a lot of control type things here. Choice of 401k retirement, stuff like that. You can have any kind of provider that you want with your own company. And that even goes a little bit further into other investments, but that's a whole story unto itself. Once again, the employee contractor is dictated by his employer. We're going to use this 401k, and these are our plans that you kind of get shoved into, so to speak. Whoa, 4 minutes. Type of work. Between contracts, you can kind of say, you know what, I kind of don't want to do this type of work, I want to do that type of work. Whereas with an employer, you're basically, you could be doing JavaScript or VB script or, something that you may not like, who knows. Quickly with the protection, if somebody sues you, as a business owner, they can look at your business assets, but as an employee, you can look at more things like home, different personal assets and stuff like that. Protection can have liability insurance or a good lawyer, or Bill. And this is the big one for me. This is where I'm going to probably chew up all the rest of my time, is write-offs. So with write-offs, you can do computers, cell phones, software, hardware, books, so on and so forth. Big one, dividends. When you pay yourself, you can pay yourself as a dividend, which has no or low social taxes. And that's, anywhere up to, I think, 13, 15%, something like that. Whereas, a lot of these things aren't available to Bill. And this is like real money right here. Scoot on to how to form a corporation. All right, so really there's 5 different forms here that you have to fill out. And actually the last one's not even necessarily a form if you do actually want to pay your own Minnesota unemployment tax rather. First one is articles of incorporation. That's basically you telling the state, hey, I want to be a business and this is the name I'm going to be using. The second one is the SS4, and that's something that's a federal form, and that's telling the federal government, hey, I'm a business. And this is a really important one because they give you something called the EIN, which is basically your identification number, similar to what your social security number might be. This is a thing that you take into the bank, get a bank account, so on and so forth. ABR, this is how you tell the state how you should be taxed, so to speak. That's my simple way of saying it. 2553, that's telling the federal government how you want to be taxed, so to speak, in a real simple form. Minnesota unemployment, this is one that I took forever to find, and if you want to know where it's at, I have this form for you. When you go into business on your own, you probably don't care if you get unincorporated as the sole owner of your business. So why would you want to pay unincorporated or unemployment tax rather? So this form right here gives you the ability to say, I'm the president, I'm the sole owner, so on and so forth. I don't want to pay unemployment tax. So anyways, that's a very high level on how to form your own business, why I formed my own business, and then finally my personal journey on this business. So thank you very much.
Thanks, President. Well done, Jesse. Thank you. That was interesting for me coming from the contracting side, and I talk to people all the time. Are you 1099? Are you a contractor? Are you corp to corp? What do you prefer? So this will give me a little more overview and education on that. The next person I would like to introduce is the man who does it all, our president, our speaker, our coach and cheerleader and everything. Vince Bullinger will be speaking this afternoon.
Man, I will need several seconds to swap over to my here. Of course, the item on my mind lately has been Speechcraft. Of course, that is a workshop that we are going to be partaking of starting next week. And I thought, since we had a speaker slot open up, I was like, well, I need to talk to you guys about Speechcraft anyway. Why not fill some time, right? Okay, so agenda. We're going to talk about what is Speechcraft, why are we doing it, how does it work, what are the benefits to each of the participants, the advisors, the club, etc., and how we're going to proselytize it. So what is Speechcraft? Speechcraft is a Toastmasters international program. Toastmasters is the umbrella company, or it's not a profit or whatever, the umbrella company to TechMasters and all the other Toastmasters clubs around the world. There are thousands of them, if you didn't know. And they want to, it isn't just like some basic generic speech club and that's it. They have manuals for everything. If you didn't know, when you sign up, you get a competent communicator, competent leader manual, and they work you through some of the earlier steps of how to work on some of the more basic ways and tips and tricks about how to make a good speech. And beyond that, there are advanced speaker manuals and things like that. Speechcraft is an 8-session workshop that's kind of like a way to build people up really quickly so they can get involved in Toastmasters experience on a little, it's a faster onboarding experience, basically. So experienced Toastmasters advise new or on how to get better at public speaking as quickly as possible. Participants present several mini speeches, a little bit shorter than the one that Jesse gave or the one that I'm giving right now. And you develop your impromptu speaking skills because you'll be involved in table topics every week. And you will practice leadership roles, things like you will be evaluating each other, and toward the end, someone will actually give the table topics and do the general evaluation, things like that. So why are we doing it? One thing that I've noticed over the years is that new member retention is a little lower than I'd like. So when people first join TechMasters, frequently they get a little overwhelmed and they will stop showing up after a while. Frequently, to the point where I say, I think we need to address this. And I think that it kind of speaks to what a lot of developers and IT people, how we think and how we relate to people. I think a lot of us are a little overwhelmed at public speaking. And I think a lot of us will come in and we'll see Mike give a great talk and we'll be like, boy, I'm never going to match up to that. Not understanding that Mike's been in Toastmasters for 25 years, longer than half of us in this room been alive. Just kidding. So when you walk in, it's only a 4 of us, not half of us. So when you walk in, you're a little overwhelmed and you're used to sitting in your basement playing World of Warcraft, as I use that analogy all the time, and you're a little overwhelmed by it. So a lot of people will shy away and go back into their introverted stance and not stay in for the long haul. Also, it's a great membership building tool. As you can see here, it says Speechcraft, your club's #1 membership building tool. Ergo, I said, hey, why don't we get a few new members? So how does it work? The format is essentially laid out for us by Toastmasters. I have a coordinator's guide in that box over there, and it lays out the basic outline of the agendas for each one. Of course, we have to execute it, we have to do it well, but when all is said and done, it's laid out for the suggestions about how to do it, and it all makes a lot of sense, and I agree with it. It's you give presentations from the Better Speaker series and the Successful Club series. So these two series are prepared speeches, which of course gonna add your own flair to it. They're just, another, again, it's just kind of an outline, but when all is said and done, you're given the basic idea of what to say. And the members use their experience to mentor. So really, what we're gonna do is all laid out for us. How we're gonna execute it is based on our experiences and our skills. So what are the benefits to advisors, as in the current members? It will provide you a whole lot of goals toward our educational goals. Now, our Vice President of Education is not here today, Alex, but he would be very happy with this particular slide. As an advisor to Speechcraft, you can get credit toward Advanced Communicator Silver. And the way you can do that, if you conduct 2 presentations for the Better Speaker Series or the Successful Club Series. If you have been in on the emails that I've been sending out, the presentations that have been given to you are from the Better Speaker Series and the Successful Club Series. So you will be sitting there, if you give presentations during Speechcraft, you'll be sitting there with some of your qualifications for the Advanced Communicator Silver Award waiting for you whenever you get around to giving those 20, 30 speeches. So in 2 or 3 years from now, you'll be like, oh, I got this really difficult criteria off the board already. Advanced Communicator Gold. Coordinated and conducted 1 workshop from this particular series, which includes, so since I'm the coordinator, I'm going to have this sitting there waiting for me when I get around to finally getting up to Advanced Communicator Gold. I did recently finish my Advanced Communicator Bronze, so it's not going to take that. But when all is said and done, I'll just have that sitting there waiting for me. And for all of us, coached a new member with his or her first 3 speeches. Which means if you're an advisor, you're coaching everybody through each of these speeches. So you're going to have that sitting there waiting for you. So if you are, let's say you joined this year and you advise somebody 5 years from now, when you finally get around to finishing your Advanced Communicator Gold, you're going to have that sitting there waiting for you. Pretty awesome, huh? Advanced Leader Bronze. Conducted 2 presentations from Successful Club or Leadership Excellence Series. Of course, this includes Successful Club Series. So if you're looking for any of these advanced awards, guess what? You're going to have a lot of these things knocked out waiting for you. Also, to brush up on some things. Maybe you're a little stale. Maybe you have been a member for a year and you've got 8 of your 10 competent communicator speeches, and maybe you're missing one of them that you're going to be advising on. So you're going to be brushing up on a lot of these things. What are the benefits to the participants? Better onboarding. Like I said, if you're a new member, when you're a new member, think back when you're a new member and how maybe it was a little rough and kind of hard to jump in. You're just kind of thrown in the fire, right? You're amongst your uninitiated peers. You're not going to be following Jesse's talk. You're not going to be following mine. You're not going to be following Mike or anybody else who's been around for a long time. Boris has been TechMasters or Toastmasters for decades, and Paul is really good and all that. So you're going to be competing, even though nobody's really competing. You're not going to have to follow up some amazing orator who's been presenting around the world. You get to improve your confidence much faster because you just get to focus on doing what you're doing, and you're going to have mentorship there to help you along the way. You get into the rhythm of TechMasters much more quickly because you're going to be a little bit more participant than you normally would when you first jump on. Frequent mentoring early on. You're going to be meeting with your advisor on a weekly basis as opposed to whenever you guys get around to it, like typical mentoring. I kind of wish I had something like that when I was starting up. Sounds pretty nice. So what are the benefits to the club? Increased membership. Like I said, #1 membership building tool, right? Education goals achieved. It's kind of difficult to get a lot of those advanced goals reached. So this will really help you out. So I really want everybody to make sure they got the manuals with them, make sure they print out the forms that I sent you so that you can get proper evaluation on that. Increased member retention. I think that the people, Chris and Marie and anybody else that joins, I think they're going to be a little more interested, they're going to be a little more engaged, and they're not going to be quite so overwhelmed as in comparison to a lot of the other people. You're going to be better prepared as a new member. I'm very confident that in December, after Speechcraft, you guys will be fully fledged members. You'll be 100% equal members in the club. You'll be able to contribute as normal people based on what the program that I'm very impressed by. It adds variety to the meeting format. I think that over the years, we kind of have been resting on our laurels, and we've been kind of going through the motions, doing a lot of the same things. And I think that we need to change up the format a little bit, which is interesting for the members as well. We say, oh, it's a little bit different this week. Very interesting. And it also kind of tests you and your presentation and communication skills a little differently than usual. So what I'd like from all of you guys is to proselytize. I have a bunch of flyers in the back behind Jesse and Brett. if you say to yourself, okay, I think I have a good bulletin board at work, I can take this to, please take one. If you have a good idea of where I should put them, please let me know. I'd like to know what to do with all these. Tell your colleagues, let everybody know, hey, that club I go to that makes me such a wonderful speaker. If you would like to join or check us out, feel free. Tweet, Facebook, LinkedIn, Meetup. In some way, shape, or form, we have Speechcraft put on that. You know, I've tweeted about it, I put it on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. And I even put it on Craigslist. Apparently there are groups and there are like classes, so I put that on there as well. Take one or some of the brochures. That's what you hand to individual people instead of just putting it on a board. Okay, we're definitely be handing those out at those events. And that's it. Usually there's like an end thing, but that's all. So again, please follow us past the event and make sure that we give at least a couple more people. It'd be nice to have. We have 4. It'd be nice to have like 6 to 8. Thank you, Madam President.
Well done. I'm engaged and ready, and maybe I'll sign up. So to wrap up the final portion of our meeting, I'd like to welcome our general evaluator Mike, to the podium to give out some awards and tell us how we're doing.
Thank you, Clea. And as your general evaluator, kind of the first thing we need to do is we do have 2 speakers today, and we do have a vote for the better speaker. So if you will please, while the speeches are still fresh in your mind, bow your heads, and we will vote. If you felt that Jesse, with the business of technology, did the better presentation, please raise your hand. All right. And if you felt that Vince did the better presentation, please raise your hand. All right, thank you very, very much. And now we'll move into the portion of the meeting that I like the best, which is the opportunity to give some feedback to the participants in our meeting. And for our prepared speeches, we have assigned evaluators, which is kind of a nice thing, because then you can get some direct feedback specifically aimed to that person. So to give us our first evaluation is going to be Brett, and he will be evaluating Jesse. So Brett.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I normally don't like to preface what I'm going to be doing with anything because that kind of goes against the Toastmaster rules. But Jesse asked me to be harsh. He said he's here for a reason. So I'm going to try to give him a little bit more critical feedback than we might normally give. You're not really a new member, so you're kind of a returning member. So I think it's okay. All right, so I'm going to just talk briefly first about the introduction, the body conclusion, and some of the content of your speech, and then I'll get into some of the little things that I saw. So for the introduction, you kind of walked up to the podium and you started, or the lectern, sorry, Vince, you started telling us your introduction before you turned around and got up here. And so we wasn't totally sure that is this the beginning of the speech, or are you going to get up here and give us another introduction? And your introduction line was, so I'm going to be talking about the business of technology. An introduction back to us. It didn't really grab our attention. You know, Mike likes to say you should start with the pain. You know, maybe say something like, how many people here want to make more money doing what they do? Or how many people here are maybe thinking about going in to start their own business? Something like that that will grab us right away. You moved from your introduction pretty quickly into your body, and you had some technical issues. And you commented on those. Generally, you know, we all know it. You don't really need to say it, just kind of roll with it. Your body, you had a lot of great content, and that was maybe with a 5 to 7 minute speech, maybe went against you a little bit because you had to rush through it. You know, my suggestion would be each one of those topics is huge. I mean, you've done this for years. You were really, really astute at this stuff, and you could have easily just done the first part, like talked about your journey, because that's really interesting to a lot of us here who haven't made that move, right? You know, you talked about your evolution from employee to contractor, now to business owner, and that sort of thing. So I think if you were going to do this series, you could probably split them up into 3 different speeches and give those, and you'd have plenty of content. You'd have no shortage. So you did have a lot of great content in your body. Organization, I think time was just kind of working against you there. When you got to your conclusion, again, I think it was kind of the time problem. I put up the red thing, and you're like, oh, okay, I got to get out of here. And so we didn't see a real strong call to action. Similarly to the introduction, it should be something that makes us say, wow, I'm going to talk to Jesse about that unemployment form, right? I'm going to try to find that out. I'm going to talk to Jesse and maybe learn a little bit more about how I can do this. But all in all, for first speech back, it was good. It had a lot of great content. So I think just organizing it and managing the time a little bit better would do you well. In terms of just general speaking semantics, I saw some things that you probably could improve on. Your slides had tons of content on them, which made you kind of stand like this most of the speech and kind of reading it. The presentation Zen sort of style of slides, and it's really what I do when I present, is the slide really becomes just a little bit of an accent of what I'm talking about. Like I'll look at it quickly and say, okay, I'm going to talk about this next. And what actually becomes the important part, not the slides. So I think you could have had just one of those blocks of text and just kind of went on about it, and that would have helped. Additionally, the slide color profile with lighting in this room, the text was pretty hard to read back where I was sitting. I'm getting a red flag. I'm not supposed to comment on that, which is another thing. Don't comment on time during it. You have a timer. All right, so I gave you some critical feedback. All in all, it was really good for the first time. It didn't look like you were a new member. Certainly, you're not. You looked really comfortable up there, even though you were a little bit this way. You didn't look nervous. You didn't look shaky. Lose the pen, though. Don't carry your pen. It kind of looks like Bob Dole, if you remember him. All in all, a great speech. I think there's room for improvement on it, but I enjoyed the content, and I'd be very interested in hearing more about it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brett. And to give us an evaluation on Vince's speech is William. William?
Thank you, Vince, for your speech on Speechcraft today. I made some notes and I will go through them. It's kind of hard to read this, actually. First of all, your speech was on Speechcraft, which is something that you're obviously passionate about and what the club is passionate about. Right off the bat, you said, what is it? You explained what Speechcraft actually means, because I know when I first heard that term thrown around, I didn't know exactly what it entailed. You explained. Then you went into, this is the advantage, or these are the benefits to the advisors, to the current members. So then I was thinking, are you going to tell what the benefits are to the actual Speechcraft people, which you did. So I could feel this logical flow going through. I was happy that I knew where you were going to go to next, and I knew where this journey was headed. Good topics, or things that I marked as good, explicitly good. You were very organized. All your slides, all your presentations are very organized. I can tell, and I appreciate that. I know when you get up there, you say, here's what I'm going to talk about. Point 1, point 2, point 3. That's what I talked about. Go out and do it. Again, the logical progression of your topics. Your first couple of slides, I really liked. You had a picture on the side and some bullet points. The picture was a little bit more bigger than the bullet points. It got more of my attention. But then somewhere in there, the text turned to kind of gray. And gray on the black background was difficult for me to see. I don't know exactly if that was my eyes or if that was the slides. Things that could use some improvement. Breathing. You're very passionate about pretty much anything that you speak about, especially monetary policy. And I've noticed that you don't take regular breaths. You'll go as fast as you can, as long as you can, until you get to the end, and then you'll take a breath. So I think that just comes through as part of your passion, your how direct and how driven you are about the topic. So just take a breath somewhere along the line. The gray text I already mentioned, and moving around the room. I noticed that we put up the computer in such a way that it pretty much blocks off the right-hand side. Paul used to have us pull these first two desks back so that we could move left and right, kind of stretch our legs a little bit. I would have liked to have seen that. Then at the very end, on your bullet points, you move to an animation where you didn't reveal all your bullet points right away, because I tend to read all the bullet points and I drowned out the speaker reading. So at the very end, I know bullet point 1, and then you talked about it. Bullet point 2, and then you talked about it. So that kept me going, okay, what's the next one? What's the next one? All in all, though, a good speech. I think it's something that we all need to be aware of. It's something that we're all driven for. And you gave us a call to action. You said, here's what you need to do. So thank you.
Thank you, William. And so now to give us some feedback on our evaluators, we will do a quick vote for the better evaluator between Brett and William. Please bow your heads again. And please raise your hand if you felt that Brett did the better job. Please raise your hand. And if you felt that Vince did the better job, please raise your hand.
William.
All right, thank you. And so now it is my opportunity to kind of bring us in closer to the end of the meeting. But before I give my comments, I do want to get some reports from our various roles that we had. So the first one would be our timer. If you could give us a timing report for our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I did the best I could on the times. There were some cases because I was evaluating and typing up evaluation notes that I missed some of them, but I'll give you what I got. Tony's 1 minute was about 1:20. When we got to table topics, Chris was at 1:40, Tony at 1:25 and used the word of the day. Muhammad was at 1:50, used the word of the day. William was at 1:09, did not use the word of the day that I heard. I was at 2:03, I used the word of the day. The prepared speeches, Vince wanted to go 7 to 9, and I missed the first couple minutes, but I did some math, and I think you came out at about 9:05. So that was pretty close, almost right on. Jesse wanted to go 5 to 7, he ended up going about 7:30. My evaluation was too long at 4 minutes. William's evaluation was perfect at 2:30. And I believe that is all the numbers I have, so I'll turn it back over to our general evaluator.
And to be lax and to jump out of the order that's actually on the screen, let's go to our grammarian's report. William, do you have a grammarian's report and hopefully a word picture or word for today?
Word picture, yes. So first of all, and I snuck a little so in there, like everyone here does. Everyone sneaks in so.
So easy. Sounds good.
So
Smooth.
the other one that really comes across fast is, you know. It's not, you know, it's, you know. Okay, so, so, really hard for me to pick up, and I didn't think this out. I wrote it down.
Oh, great.
Chris, I'm giving you word picture because you were coached by Mike, and you said, as a autumn breeze, or like a autumn breeze. So you get the word picture. Word of the day usage was Jonathan, Tony, Muhammad, and Brett. I already went over the crutch words, so then I'll go over the ahs and ums. Chris, I got you for 3 ahs. Tony, I got you for 1 ah. Just one, that's very good. Left us. And Brett, I got you for 2 so's.
So I gotta work on this.
So I think everybody needs to work on so. And is there anything else I need to report? Anything else I need to report?
That's about it.
All right. Thank you.
So, the next part of the meeting is going to be the wise old owl, and if we could have Jonathan, please give us your choice on who did the best job of answering your question. Thank you.
So, as I was saying at the beginning of my introduction on the topics, I enjoy finding new places, new dishes, hearing about them, going, trying them, and then introducing other people to them. One of the dishes that I guess I had never heard about was one that Brett had talked about, and for that I'm going to give him the wise.
And I will give out the 2 awards for the better evaluator and the better speaker next. And if you will please, drum roll please, the better evaluator goes to Brett. Very close. Because evaluations are key.
Hold on.
Oh, you're about to
Right.
Hey, you probably look at it right now.
The better speaker award goes to Vince. Up here. All right, so at this point, it is my job to take my notes, which I have on this little device, and to provide some feedback to the participants who were doing other roles. I don't necessarily critique the speeches, although I do think that both speakers chose topics that were very appropriate and fit in with what our audience has, and also fit into kind of the flow of the meeting. I really like the idea of going through what is in business. I like the idea of speechcraft because both of them are appropriate and fit into this audience. So you did a good job of selecting the topics for your speeches. The business meeting, as the general evaluator, I get to evaluate the president. Say, you know what I like? I like the way you've got our meeting flowing through with a nice agenda that is actually easier to follow than just a spreadsheet that says, okay, well, what are we doing next? I think that you did a good job of going through the business meeting in a timely fashion. I think we went about 8 minutes and 50 seconds for the business meeting, which was exactly close to what we wanted, a 10-minute business meeting, but we got into the business of Toastmasters right away. And I thought you did a good job of going through that and calling through the different things, and also pointing out the wins that we got as a club, because we're doing some great stuff, and I think that we're moving forward in the right kind of way. Our Toastmasters' job is to drive us through all the different parts of the meeting and to give us some good introductions and flows and transitions between the different roles of the meeting. And Clea, I don't know if you've done Toastmaster before or how many times you've done it, but I think you did a good job of going through and getting out in front of being Toastmaster by getting in touch with all of the participants and asking for feedback. Even though you didn't get feedback, I like that. It shows the enthusiasm and the willingness to reach out and do that. One of the things I would like to see is that your job as Toastmaster is to work on introductions. That's your job. So I'm going to introduce the next speaker. Here's who they are and what their role is, and to kind of flow that together. I think there's some work that you could do, some improvement that could come along with that, but that comes with experience. And I think also with getting the feedback from the participants. But all in all, I thought you did a good job. You had even the word of the day up on the board. You knew you were missing a grammarian, but you jumped right in and you kind of flowed along with that. As our standing grammarian, William did a good job of taking the what people had said. You paid attention. You got the ahs and ums. I liked the constructive feedback you had on how we could get rid of the yeah, and all of the different ahs and ums. And you did a good job of pointing out specific examples. I think our evaluators did a good job. Although it was interesting, I noticed both of our evaluators walk around with computers, and when you think about having devices or use of notes, I don't really think that walking around with a laptop like this is exactly the best way to do that. And it would be nice if you had a little sheet of paper or something that was a little bit less intrusive, because I don't know if when I'm looking at you and you're walking around with a laptop, it's just sort of, I don't know, it's a little bit much. And I think both of you, on the other hand, did a really good job of listening to what the speakers were saying, but not necessarily critiquing the message, but how they delivered the message. And I like the way that both of you had, again, specific, concrete examples of areas for improvement. I thought that was really well done. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it. So with that, I think I get to give out a couple of other awards, which includes the Greg Reed Award for visually showing some neat stuff. And one of the things that I really liked about Jesse's speech was he had some really cool logos and icons that came along to give us a great, well put together presentation. So I'm going to give this to Jesse. Because the graphics in your speeches really do lend to things, and where I thought that you could have done more with using this as the backdrop and not really facing it, I thought that the graphics that you had in there, you put a lot of work into it, and it worked really well. Fuzzy mouse.
That means the Toastmaster gives that out. It's just trying to
Here's
say.
one of the things that I think is really annoying is when participants are out there with a laser pointer and they just keep pointing at different things, trying to bring down planes or just create all kinds of chaos. I mean, the next thing I know, I'm going to be pointing in the face with like a laser pointer right at my forehead. So we don't want to go there because that's right, penalty box. So at this point here, I believe I've covered my stuff. I do need to turn it back over to our Toastmaster so she can take this out.
Thank you, Vince. Are you controlling the slides too? Lovely. So we have wow, I'm very guilty of that. We have 2 more awards, Spark Plug, which I think there is a note here. That we'll leave it private.
That might be the spark plug.
That might be the spark plug, but as I don't think I should share what was written on that note, I'm going to pass it to another person. So, as the transition. Spark Plug Award goes to you, Chris. I think you bring a lot of wonderful energy, as well as you've stepped up and just become part of the group, and I think you're a valued member, so welcome. I give you one. Closing comments. I thought this was a great meeting. We thought we only were going to have 2 or 3 people, and all of a sudden we have 12, and the energy is high, and people are laughing and having fun. And what more do you want on a Tuesday morning? So with that, I turn it over to our president, who has done a wonderful job of re-engaging the team and making us want to come in the morning. Finn.
Thank you, Clea. All right, so, Joe, we're all doing that today, right? I really think. Closing, one thing I just wanted to add on a little bit. Thank you for Clea. I think she did a great job. Again, fairly new member here, so to see her stepping up and being what seems to be someone who's been around for a long time, that's pretty impressive. And I wanted to piggyback a couple things. One thing I want to say about Jess's speech, I think the content was amazing. I feel like you do a lot of the same thing I do, which is way too much content. And this could. I'm not just saying it to be nice or whatever. I think this should be more like an hour-long presentation that you could give at events. No joke. I think this is amazing, and I want to know how to opt out of unemployment taxes, because I don't need to be coddled. Look, if I get unemployed, that's on. I don't need that. So, anyway, so. And is there any new business anybody wants to bring up? Do we have a membership application filled out for Marie yet?
I don't think so.
Because I know money has been changed, correct?
Well, yeah, for speech track.
Sure. Okay, so it's still okay.
I'll send it to them.
Okay, because we could deduct I feel like we should do a new member reduction.
It's when,
Anybody want to do that? Sound good?
just do it during the business meeting.
You sure?
Next week.
I don't think we can do that because.
We're out of time.
Why can't we do it next?
Fine, formally we'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Great. Any announcements?
ILM next, or tomorrow.
Yeah, NBC tomorrow, but that's at Earl Brown Heritage Center in Berkeley Center. So like I said, myself and Mom are going to be there. Please, and if anybody else can be there, please check us out. And do we have a closing indication from the timer?
We do. From the book again. You're never going to have it, in quotes, all together. That's like trying to eat once for all. Okay.
If you have great paid bread, please do. And this will adjourn our meeting.
Do you have receipts or anything?
I will be giving it a receipts once
Yeah.
I'm gonna process it tonight, and I'll drop the money out of the bank. And I'll just get receipts.
That was just so.
Yeah.
You're right.
I don't know why.
Well, so that note's started with me writing,
And
and then he and